All right, so we're prowling the floor of Freedom Fest. Oh my gosh, look who we bumped into, Peter Schiff.
Hey.
Hey, what's happening?
Oh, just working at my booth, getting ready for the bull-bear debate.
Oh, well, okay.
Guess which one I am?
Well, it's a bull bear about what?
Well, that's right. Good question.
Yeah, tell us.
Everything. I don't know. The U.S.
The U.S. How's the U.S. doing? I mean, you were very visible in the political arena. You ran for, was it Senate or Congress?
Yeah, no, well, Senate is part of Congress. So
yes.
There's the House and there's the Congress.
But it wasn't a congressman, it was a senator. You're
right.
And so you're closely associated with that. What's your current take on the administration right now? Just to
well, they're having a tough situation. Look what they inherited from Obama. But I think the big problem for Trump is that as soon as he won, he pretended everything was great. I liked him better as a candidate when everything was rigged, when the data was phony, right? The statistics aren't real. The unemployment rate is much higher. Don't believe the GDP. The stock market's a big, fat, ugly bubble. That's the Trump I voted for. The Trump I got, everything is great, it's a bull market, the economy's great, and it's all because of me. So he's claimed ownership of this economy and this stock market right as it's about to go over the cliff, right there. He's the fall guy now, right? So I think he's bit off a lot more than he can chew, and I think things are going to go down. Look at the dollar. The dollar's now down 10%. Since early January. It's on the low for the year. It closed the week on the low. I mean, it looks terrible technically. So the Trump trade is completely reversed in the dollar. I don't know, how much longer.
Yeah, let's talk about the dollar for a second, because you really made your bones on this. Invest in foreign stocks. You're kind of like outside of the dollar. You're probably overexposed to the dollar. So let's get something outside of the dollar. And then dollar's had a pretty significant rally, but now it looks like it may be softening up a bit. And it's kind of overdue for a pullback, I would say. And so you're kind of back. Your portfolio, I think, is poised back to now take advantage of these trends reasserting themselves that we saw a few years ago.
I think the whole dollar rally that took place really in 2014, 2015, maybe started 2013, was fake. I think it was based on a misunderstanding of the efficacy of Fed policy. Everybody all of a sudden believed that the Fed solved the problems, that there was no damage from QE, that everything is great, that they can normalize interest rates, they can shrink the balance sheet, the Fed saved the day, Ben Bernanke was a hero. And I think people are going to find out how wrong they were. If you remember the very first reaction when they first launched QE, remember when gold went up to 1900 and people were worried that this was going to be a problem? They were right. The initial reaction was the correct reaction. And the market is going to swing back there. And I think this is the beginning of a new bear market in the dollar. And I think it's headed a lot lower. I think we're going to take out the lows, the all-time record lows that the dollar set in the 08 financial crisis. In fact, it was saved by that bell, right? The crisis, ironically, saved the dollar. I think the next crisis is going to kill the dollar.
Right, and of course, in the case of the dollar and the stock market responding in this way, we've had tremendous movements into cryptocurrency. Now, here we are at Freedom Fest, and you're kind of like the guy who represents gold, certainly the gold business, gold and silver and precious metals. And so those who are in, first, it's such a big topic here. You've come out and you're pretty negative on crypto and Bitcoin in general. So just summarize what your thoughts are on the negative side.
And this is not new. I mean, people have been doing this now for the last year or so. I mean, people have been getting excited about cryptos. I did this breakfast this morning with Jimmy Rogers. Several people asking about cryptos. Jimmy Rogers has never bought a crypto. He owns gold.
I begged him to buy it at $5. But.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, well, you got to pay for dinner tonight. You own all the Bitcoins. You got all the money, right? But look, I understand the concept. Oh, fiat currencies don't work. We need an alternative to central banks. Yes, I get that. But the alternative to fiat currency isn't a fiat digital currency. I mean, it is. Our monetary system now is based on faith, right? Because there's nothing real behind dollars or euros or yen. It's just based on the fact that you believe people are going to want it, right? They're going to accept it. Other than that, the one thing that currencies have is governments accept it or require it for payment of taxes. So if you live in America, except for me, living in Puerto Rico now, so I'm out from under this, but if you live in America, the IRS wants your taxes, and you better send them dollars, right? That's what they accept. So there is a natural demand for dollars to stay out of jail.
Right, you have to give it to the government. Right there for a second. Let me jump in. So that word fiat,
Yeah.
We know usually the debate is about fiat versus gold, and we say fiat is the government saying this worthless piece of paper has value. Gold doesn't need the government to say it has value. It's had value for thousands of years. Now, in the case of crypto, it's not fiat in that sense. It's deriving its value from this network of cryptographers who are working together.
What I'm talking about, I'm not saying the government is saying let this be money. I'm just saying it's the same concept of it's just being created and let it be money, but there is no real value in it. It's all based in faith, right? If somebody doesn't want your Bitcoin, right? There's nothing you can do with it.
People are using this cryptocurrency, in particular the millennials. This new generation, you've got a big business here.
They're not.
And the millennial generation is gravitating toward what they perceive as a gold substitute. So as a business person, you've got to take that on board, no? I mean, you can't just say, my market's wrong, I'm going to ignore my market.
No, it's not my market. I'm saying they're wrong. I mean, the people who are using it as a speculative asset. I talked to a guy today, he showed me his crypto portfolio, whatever, they had like $50,000. I said, have you ever spent any? No. I mean, so he's never used it in commerce. He's speculating on it. He owns it as an asset.
Gold people don't spend their gold typically. They put it in the bank. They for retirement. They're golden years. You know, and you got a service for storing gold. People charge those storage fees. They don't use it day to day.
Look, it is never going to work as money. Right? It's people can buy it and the price can go up until the price collapses, until people don't want it anymore. I mean, the people who are buying it think that one day Bitcoin is going to be like the currency everybody uses. It's going to be worth $1 million of Bitcoin, and everybody's just going to be, it's impossible, right? And first of all, there's already like, what, 1,000 other cryptocurrencies, and how many more can there be?
But that's a separate point, but people are using it as currency.
No, they're not.
Use every day. That's 100,000 merchants accepted. You can buy a Visa card from BitPay that's backed by Bitcoin. I use it every single day. I can live my life on Bitcoin all day long.
They don't accept it.
They accept a Visa card.
No, but they get paid dollars. No merchants are pricing their products in Bitcoin. You can't go to a merchant and it says, this is 0.1 of a Bitcoin, and then you give the merchant the Bitcoin and they take it. They don't. What happens when you use your debit card or you use BitPay, the merchant gets dollars or euros. All they're doing is making it easier for you to sell your Bitcoins to buy the currency that the merchants want.
I use my gold money debit card when I go to Sears at Roebuck. It's not priced in gold.
No,
it's priced in dollars.
Here's
I'm
the
using my gold money debit card.
Right, but the thing about gold money is not to use the gold money debit card. One day, merchants will actually want gold, and you'll be able
one day people will want Bitcoin.
No, they're not. They're never going to want Bitcoin.
Why do you say that? It's your opinion. The market's saying otherwise. The market's giving you a different signal.
Well, the market was giving a different signal for the tech stocks in the internet bubble, and a lot of it went to zero. The market was giving me a different signal.
Amazon is like ruling the world.
Yeah, Amazon, but for every there were 100 that went to zero. Look,
Google, eBay, Apple.
How do you know? Okay, so how do you know? Let's say you really believe in digital currencies. So what if somebody comes up with a digital currency a year from now, 2 years from now, that is so much better than Bitcoin? It does everything Bitcoin does better, faster, cheaper. And everybody wants that new one, and now nobody wants Bitcoin. So it's worthless, right? Nobody wants it anymore because somebody came up with a better mousetrap. So just because they were first, but of course, I don't think that's going to happen because I don't think any of them are going to work. I think if we're ever going to have digital currencies, they have to be backed by gold. They're not going to be backed by nothing. They're not just going to be digital fiat where you have unlimited supplies.
Nothing stops from another currency coming along and competing with Bitcoin.
There already are
competition. There are a lot of competitors. That's true. But if you say gold, let's say, as a store of value, it's very popular. It's used for thousands of years. It doesn't mean there's not also silver, palladium, rhodium.
Right, but they don't have
diamonds,
the same
rubies, Monets, Picassos.
They're
all used because they're scarce.
No.
They're used as currency in one case or another. People pick up a Picasso and they go over to another country and they cash it out. That's a currency. It's used to move money from point A to point B.
It's not a currency,
it's rare.
It's an asset. Gold has
it's used as a currency.
No, it's not. It's used as an asset. You can't rip up a Picasso and give somebody a piece of it. You just destroyed the value.
Sure, absolutely. But in the case of gold, though, it is used in similar ways, store of value and a currency.
Yes,
that's right.
Because it has
Bitcoin.
But no, Bitcoin has no value to store. Now, the price has gone up, but there's no inherent value there. Who's to say that Bitcoin doesn't go back down to $10 or $5? I mean, could it go to 10,000 first? Sure.
I think
it
has scarcity value, and your point about there being other currencies being created willy-nilly I think it's not a great point because, as I was pointing out with other monetary metals, you can create other monetary metals as well.
Yes, but silver doesn't have the same properties as gold. Gold is unique in the periodic table, and there are reasons that it's money. Now, silver's been used as money too, alongside, because it has some properties that people desire, monetary, but Bitcoin does not. Yes, Bitcoin, yes, you can exchange it, but there is no value there to store, and you're saying, oh, there's a scarcity. Yeah, so there's 21 million Bitcoins. If nobody wants them, they're worthless. Right? And the only reason that people want them is because they believe somebody else will accept them. It's all based on faith, the belief that somebody is going to want this cryptocurrency in the future, and they will give me real value for it. They'll give me goods or services. Well, what if they don't? What if somebody comes up with a better one? Or what if they just collapse? What if this bubble bursts? What if Bitcoin goes from 3,000 down to 300? You know, not too long ago, it went from 1,000 down to 200. What are people going to think who paid $3,000? Oh, my money just went from 3,000 to 300? I mean, you got a lot of people now that are coming in that think they're going to get rich off these things. I mean, it's going to be, you know, bad branding when this thing collapses. You know, everybody wants to criticize. Let me ask this point. Everyone wants to criticize fiat currencies. Well, these digital currencies might end up making fiat currencies look good. That's how bad they are. These currencies could collapse before the dollar, before the euro. So I think if you're worried about fiat currencies, you're jumping out of the frying pan into the fire if you're buying these cryptocurrencies. Stick with the real thing. Stick with gold.
Okay, gold's got the history.
Yes.
For sure. And for all those reasons that you've just said, it is the preeminent store of value, has been for thousands of years.
Yes.
This cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is very similar in a lot of ways, and for this new generation, they accept it now as gold. That's their perception of it.
Well, that perception is going to change.
That market, though, if enough glom onto it, if they define that market, that will be it. But we got to go.
They're not going to. You know, look, I'm not going to take my advice from 20-something-year-olds who think, you know, they all think I'm foolish. Oh, I'm an idiot. I just don't get it. And guys like Jim Rogers, smart people, or me, you know, they think we're dumb. We don't get it. No, I do get it. That's why I don't own it. It's the people who are buying it who don't get it. Now, do I wish I bought it a long time ago? Yeah, and I would be selling it if I had it. But it doesn't mean the people who bought it were smart. They were lucky. Now, there are some people...
We got to go. We're out of time. We're out of time. All right?
All right.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks for the Keiser report.
Bye.
All right, thanks.